Guillermo, Emil Amok to you. Welcome to my takeout, my Emil Amok's takeout. Hey, before we get into the guts of this is like, I think show 918 or 917. Maybe I counted 917 twice. I don't know, but we've done about 900 of these over the course of the years. And mostly it's because we went on every day and then we say, oh, wait, hold on. We can't do this every day. That's just too much fun. And so now we pop up. We pop up. That was always meant to pop up. Me, my gong, the eye of the Filipino TJ Eckelberg. Gatsby reference. Agbayani's your number 50. That's not a Prop 50 reference. Although Prop 50, more important than ever, if you're in California. Benny, by the way, Benny Agbayani, Filipino American History Month. He probably is the best position player, Filipino American position player in the major league, in all the major leagues, right? In the last 20 years, I think. Benny Agbayani, when he wore number 50, Hawaiian Punch. Come on. Tim Lincecum was a pitcher, great, but I think Agbayani, he's got to be. Anyway, before we go on, I'm in this play called the Amenuensis. What is an Amenuensis? It's a dictator. It's what H.L. Mencken called Joel Chandler Harris, who wrote the Song of the South after, taking the stories of slaves, and then trying to pass it off as his own. The controversy over the Song of the South is not a new one, but Ishmael Reed uses his imagination to get justice by writing this new play. This is a staged reading, so actors are reading from the script, and it's really for the benefit of the playwright and for everyone to appreciate the playwright's words and his ability to express his ideas and thoughts in theater, right? As a playwright. That's why this stage reading is special. It's at Theater 33, 533 Sutter Street in San Francisco, Sutter and Powell. Yeah, not a far walk up from that, the cable car turntable, right? But Theater 33 at 533 Sutter Street. Tickets are at the door. Check it out. It's a theater. It says comedy, stand up, but this is a play. The Emanuel. It's a stage reading. Ishmael Reed, really I think he is probably one of for a writer who is written 6 decades of work. He is one of the greatest living writers in America right now, for just his massive amount of work, starting, I think when I first heard of Ishmael Reed, it was in the 60s and 70s. Anyway, Ishmael has turned to playwriting as a way to get across his ideas. I mean, he has done essays, op-eds, columns, but for his real urgent ideas on the issues of multiculturalism and race, the theater beckons. This is the fourth production that I've been in, and I'm in it. I have a very small role, but the Amenuensis is a play about justice. It's about the slaves who told their stories to Joel Chandler Harris. It was how they attempt to get justice and how they do it. It's interesting. And as they do this act, is it a criminal act or is it really an act of survival? You hear the stories and you hear them lay out the case for why they're doing what they're doing and why they demand a piece of the action, right? Joel Chandler Harris made something like a couple $100,000 which isn't much in today's terms, but when he made the deal with Disney, it was a significant amount. He became well known in literary circles, but people in the know said, "Hey, you're doing slave stories." Anyway, it's a good time to understand African American history, white supremacy, slavery, what happened to blacks after slavery. I just think it's a worthwhile experience. So Theater 33 at 533 Soda Street. The play takes place Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then a Sunday matinee. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right? The 16th, 17th, 18th at 7:30, and then on Sunday, it happens at 3 o'clock, the matinee. So go see it. It will enlighten. It definitely will enlighten. The Amenuensis theater33.com for tickets, or go to Theater 33 itself at 533 Sutter, second floor. Ishmael Reed, the playwright. I have a very small part. So, you don't go see it for me. You don't go see it for the Filipino parts. Although the Filipino parts will make you realize that the way they treated Filipinos was no different from the way they treated blacks in all the prior years. And I'm going back to the way they treated Filipinos in the 1890s, in the early 1900s, people like my father. So let's segue into, it's Filipino American History Month. I mean, it always has been, but it's always been kind of in the shadows because we have the whole month, October, but the Hispanics have part of September and part of October. Now they're gone after today. It's just the Filipinos. I thought maybe we'd hear something from President Trump last week, but no, we heard him do his proclamation to Leif Erikson Day, Nordic Americans. Nordic Americans, you say, well, there's got to be a lot of them, right? Well, only about, at best, there's 4 million Swedish Americans and 4 million Americans from Norway. What would they be called? Norwegian descent. There's about 9 million Nordic Americans. So he chose to highlight the Nordic Americans on my birthday, October 9th, which is like, my God. Should I feel flattered that I was born on what is now the whitest day in American history? Leif Erikson Day. So, yeah. He didn't mention Filipino. He's got some time, though. I mean, we'll give him some time. I mean, he was out there. What was he doing the other day? He was like doing a lap dance. I mean, as you can see, and if you go to my column on Inquirer.net, I said, hey, it's great. Let's remember the hostages, the 20 hostages who've been released. And remember, it started back in the Biden administration when Biden and Blinken were out there and they were setting up the stage for the first release in November of 2023, which included Asians from Thailand and Filipinos, but not all the Jewish hostages, not all the Israeli hostages. But I give Donald Trump props for bringing the process, finally ending the process. He didn't start it, and it's not over, really. I mean, he ended the process by 20 hostages coming back. But the bigger objective, regional peace, global peace, the war is over? Not exactly. And I said this in my column in Inquirer.net. Did he address anything approaching the underlying reasons for the difficulties between, the differences in the region, Hamas and Israel? No, he got to the bottom of it by saying, okay, this is what we're going to do with the hostages. Great. That's semi-solved. But the big problem still remains. So, in my case, from my viewpoint, Donald Trump took a premature victory lap, which sort of is his style, I guess. A premature victory lap, And he's like, back to America to do what Donald Trump does, which is create more havoc on any number of fronts, because that is the chaos of Trump 2.0. So today, the Supreme Court went after Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, and it doesn't look good. So if you were wondering about how important is Prop 50 in California, well, it's very important. Prop 50 alone may not help us as much as we would like, because if Prop 50 is successful, every other state will do the same thing, and they will gerrymander to death to eke out 1 or 2 seats for the Republicans. And if you do the math right now, it doesn't look good for Democrats, who are trying to negate the gerrymandering effort. They might negate Texas and a handful of other states, but if all the Republican states do this, the Republicans may win on the math. Today's Supreme Court hearing makes it especially hard, because if the Supreme Court votes down Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which allows for special remedies for districts with a lot of minorities to have the representation they deserve, if they say, look, we're not going to go with this, we're going to end this, there may not be enough. I mean, the Republicans may not need to gerrymander the states that they're trying, because 19 seats could be reversed because of what the Supreme Court might do on the Voting Rights Act, Section 2, which like I said, it's the provision which allows for remedies to make sure that in minority majority districts, they get the representation. You can't gerrymander them out. You got to make sure that if there's 50% blacks, that they have a shot at representation. That's the importance of that law. But now, you could try to guess by the questions how the justices will vote, but based on reports on the questions that they asked, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for civil rights. It doesn't look good for people who looked on the Voting Rights Act as that remedy 60 years ago, right? That's how long it's been. Here's the thing about the Voting Rights Act, and that was said by Associate Justice Brett Kavanaugh today. He said, hey, we like to have these things, but we like to have an end in mind. And so what is the end in mind? It's almost like if he were a doctor, it's like he was saying, look, we would like to cure cancer, but we'd like to cure cancer with an end in mind, like, 5 years, 10 years. And look, if you're not cured in 10 years, forget it. Disease wins. I mean, that's essentially what Brett Kavanaugh said. He said, we usually like to address these as a court with an end in mind. And hey, we don't do this in an unlimited fashion. We have a terminus. We have a point in mind. And if it hasn't happened, sorry, I guess, right? Is that what he means? You know how ridiculous that is? I mean, it would seem more logical that if we have an illness, have a sickness, we use a remedy for as long as it takes. But the compromise here is, we'll do it for like 5 years, 10 years. We got to have an end in mind. And the end in mind doesn't mean curing it. It just means we stop doing the right thing and start doing the wrong thing. That's what's frustrating about the questions that were asked today, and why many of the reports I've read about what happened in court indicate maybe we'll see the same 6-3 conservative vote, or maybe a 5-4. But to reverse really the guts of the Voting Rights Act. And it's already been gutted, right? The Voting Rights Act has already been gutted once. It's already on one leg. This will like chop off the other leg. We are going backwards, friends. We are going backwards, and it's good. I like to look at the 3 laws from the Johnson administration as the key laws, right? Civil Rights Act, 64, Voting Rights Act, 65, Immigration Act of 65. Those three change things for people of color, especially Asian Americans. There could be no Asian America without the lifting or the change of the Immigration Act of 1965 and the lifting of the racist illegal quotas that were set by that by the law in 1924. That's how far back we have to go to see, well, how racist were? Well, 1924, we put these quotas on. And now we have really the gutting of, the 65 Act Immigration Act has been revised several times, notably in the 80s. And it's so difficult, though, to do anything meaningful on immigration because no one wants to vote for it. Everyone's too crazy about immigration. Voting Rights Act, though, here it comes, the reversal there. And the Civil Rights Act, civil rights, you see how Donald Trump is all gung-ho about anti-DEI. Civil Rights Act barely is standing. I just saw something in the news about how Trump wants to redo how we look at asylees and refugees and make it more biased toward the white countries, like South Africa. This is sort of the way it was in 1924, when people didn't want immigration. They wanted to shut the door, but they put quotas on the Europeans, but not as much as they put an absolute ban on people from Asia, Filipinos. Well, the Filipinos were already here because they were colonized. But Asian countries. We're going back to the 20s, folks. That's the sentiment. That, and this Voting Rights Act thing, when Brett Kavanaugh says the remedy, we shouldn't have this remedy be open-ended. There should be a limit. Well, this is it's a common thing to put a limit, to go back. Anyway, so you'll be reading about that tomorrow in the news about what the court may or may not do on voting rights. But it shows how significant this Prop 50 is. I mean, don't make it easy for them. California should do all it can to make sure that the balance, that we stay close to a balance. Because look, if the Voting Rights Act is gutted with that Section 2, they're predicting anywhere from like 12 to 19 seats reversing, going from Democrat to Republican. I just don't see how the Democrats, unless there's a real, passion. I know, what is the word? See what Zoran Mondani is doing in New York, talking about the soul of the Democratic Party. And you see how Hakeem Jeffries, also from New York, but he's also the potential Speaker of the House if the Democrats take over. He says, hey, look, he talks about the big tent. He says, hey, we're a big party. There's no ceiling. There's a floor, but there's no ceiling. Trying to make it sound like, hey, we believe in capitalism. I mean, that's the thing that The Republicans want to push on, hey, the Democrats are moving so far left, so far left. And unless the Democrats can come up with a passionate response, this passion to answer for the working class, I don't know. I don't know. The Republicans seem to have captured the imaginations of the working class like at no other time. So that the rich, elite whites have enough people of color saying, yeah, I want to be like them. I want their money. I want. I mean, how else do you explain it? The Democrats lost that. That was always like, oh, we're for you. We're fighting for you. And the Democrats were abandoned. I don't know how the Democrats recover unless the answer to the question that Zoran Mamdani asked yesterday or stated yesterday. He said his movement is the soul of the Democratic Party. And I heard the leader of the House, or the leader of the Democrats in the House, not really answer it that well. So we'll have to see. Anyway, that's what's going on today. Let's see. We talked about Amenuensis, and now this is a big story. Oh, still in the shutdown. And notice how Donald Trump he has all these distractions. The hostage thing was a big distraction. It was history, but it's not over, and it serves as a big distraction. And so now people kind of say, oh, they're hardly paying attention, but we're still in the shutdown, and people are getting fired from their federal jobs. Here's something that's come up. The Politico, they came up with an exclusive story they posted yesterday about leaked messages that expose young Republicans' racist chat. Now, if you were in a chat room where you could say "I love Hitler," I mean, I guess would it feel liberating? I don't know. Is that even the term? But Politico's Jason Bieferman and Emily Nago wrote this. Leaders of young Republican groups throughout the country worried what would happen if their Telegram chat ever got leaked, but they kept typing anyway. They referred to black people as monkeys and the watermelon people, and mused about putting their political opponents in gas chambers. They talked about raping their enemies and driving them to suicide, and lauded Republicans who they believe support slavery. And these are young Republican leaders in New York, Kansas, Arizona, and Vermont. Some work in the Trump administration. And what do you know? We don't hear anything from Trump. You don't hear anything. Trump hasn't said. Vice President Vance said something today, but basically saying, hey, it's just college humor. Basically, essentially saying it's a joke. It's a joke? I don't know. The reporters went through 2,900 pages of chats shared among a dozen millennial and Gen Z Republicans between early January and mid-August, and it chronicles their campaign to seize control of the National Young Republican Organization on a hardline pro-Donald Trump platform. Many of the chat members already work inside government or party politics, and one serves as a state senator. This is the future, folks. I guess they had boomer parents. I guess we blame the boomer parents. Together, the messages reveal a culture where racist, anti-Semitic, and violent rhetoric circulate freely, and where the Trump-era loosening of political norms has made such talk feel less taboo among those positioning themselves as the party's next leaders. And in other words, they're liberated and they're free to be as racist as possible. And thank goodness Politico got a hold of these chats or the chat room discourse, because it shows this is what people did not want to have out, right? And now that it is, you see the repercussions. Some people have lost their jobs already, and yet here's the other effect that's kind of scary. This is from a Texas A&M sociology professor who studied racism the last 60 years, Joe Fagan. He says, the more the political atmosphere is open and liberating, like it has been with the emergence of Trump and a more right-wing GOP even before him, it opens up young people and older people to telling racist jokes, making racist commentaries in private and public. So Fagan, this guy Joe Fagan, a Texas A&M sociology professor, says he's concerned the words would be applied to public policy. It's chilling, of course, he says, because they will act on these views. And that's, you want to know what the heart and soul of the Republican Party is? It's not small government. It's not, fiscal conservatism. It's these racist views. The racist views that the young Republicans are saying in chat rooms. And the fact is, racist views have always been part of our discourse, our political discourse. Go back to 1924 with that racist Immigration Act, the most racist Immigration Act ever. Go back to exclusion laws, Asian exclusion laws. I can mention the obvious. Go back to slavery. America has always had a race problem. And just when you think we got over the hump, when did we think we got over the hump? Was it when Obama was elected and people said, oh, we're post-racial now? Do we think maybe certainly when Kamala Harris was elected vice president, we weren't post-racial. And now we see with the post-65, or we see the Voting Rights Act going down, being attacked, potentially going down by declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. We're going back at least 60 years, because if what Politico has exposed, the racist seeds are there among the millennials and the Gen Zs. The racist seeds that say, I love Hitler, that talk about blacks like calling them watermelon people. The racist seeds are there. And even though you expose them, here's the irony. You expose them, give them the sunlight, and watch them grow. Because the current administration says, it's okay. We're not woke. We're not DEI. We're shattering the norms. We're not the nice America. We're not the inclusive America. We're the non-normal democracy. The new non-normal democracy, which is barely a democracy. Unless you vote, and here's your chance. Prop 50 coming up in California. Don't forget to vote. All right, I've spoken enough. Trying to keep these things under 30 minutes. If you missed any or all of this, check out, use your finger, and check us out. The Amenuensis this weekend, October 16th through 19th, Ishmael reads a new play, 533 Sutter Street, Theater 33. Also, hey, November 19th, Emil Amok, live, 7:30 p.m. March, November 19th. Check that out. That's where I do the show, a version of the show that I was touring in Canada. It's a version because it's about life and life changes. So check it out. Get your tickets at themarsh.org/shows. It's at the SF Marsh on Valencia Street, or near where I grew up, near where it all happened. The Marsh. November 19th, 7:30. That's a Wednesday. I know it's tough. It's tough. It's a Wednesday, but catch it if you can. All right. That's it for our show today. Hey, thank you. Thank you for being here. Tell your friends. I don't put this up on like the regular podcast things. I mean, I have my old Emil Amok Takeout on there, and then I discontinued it because, it's fun to do that, but I enjoy doing these pop-ups more. Of course, that means you got to come to it. You got to watch it. It's on YouTube. Watch it on my YouTube channel, and there's some other things on the YouTube channel, but anyway, we still end these things with a little meditation. So, loving kindness, because we're nice guys, we're nice people. And so, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. Emil Amok to you. Till next time. Mahal Kita.